Good evening and welcome to today's main news, today the 21st of October 2025. Trace Mwansa, top stories making headlines. Monze man kills 19-year-old girlfriend, attempts suicide. And the High Court upholds Nakachinda's 3-year jail sentence for defaming president. Government holds cash for work program. And Chieftainess Chieftainess Waitwika orders village cleanup to fight crime in Nakonde. And in sports news, Chirundu FC coach eyes victory in Solwezi clash. And now the news in detail. A 19-year-old girl of Monze district has been brutally murdered by her boyfriend, identified as 21-year-old Charles Bole. According to a police statement made available to Muvi TV News, the incident happened on Sunday in the Njola Mwanza area under Chief Mwanza. And brief facts of the matter are that on the stated date, around 07 hours, the deceased was sent on an errand by her mother, Miss Jennifer Mwene, aged 55, of the same residence. When the mother noticed that her daughter had delayed to return, she tried to contact her by phone, but it was unreachable. Later, around 12 hours, Mr. Robert Hanzala, aged 61, of the same village, and uncle to the suspect, saw his nephew, Mr. Bole, running towards his home while shouting for help. He noticed that his nephew had taken a known poisonous substance and immediately collapsed. Mr. Anzala decided to follow the direction his nephew had come from and found the suspect's house door was wide open when someone crying for help from inside. Upon entering, he discovered the victim lying on the floor with multiple cuts on the head. He immediately alerted members of the community and their father to the deceased, who then reported the matter to the police. Police Commanding Officer for Southern Province, Usencho Daka, stated that police officers inspected the body and noted 4 deep cuts on the head, 1 cut on the lower jaw suspected to be fractured, and a swollen face. The victim was rushed to Monze Mission Hospital, where she was pronounced dead upon arrival. The body has since been deposited in the Monze Mission Hospital mortuary awaiting postmortem, and the suspect is admitted to the same hospital under police guard as investigations into the matter continue.
In the morning of October 19, 2025, in the peaceful village of Njola Mwanza, nestled under Chief Mwanza's watch in Monze district, the day began like any other. The sun had barely risen when 19-year-old Nchimunya Magala was sent on a simple errand by her mother, Jennifer Mwene. No one could have known that it would be the last time they would see her alive. Nchimunya was a bright young woman, a pupil at Mwanza Day Secondary School, full of the quiet hopes and dreams that every parent holds dearly to their child. But hours passed, she did not return. Her mother, growing anxious, tried calling her, but her phone was off. Meanwhile, in another part of the same village, 61-year-old Robert Hanzala noticed his nephew, 21-year-old Charles Bole, sprinting towards him, visibly distressed and crying for help. Within moments, Charles collapsed at his uncle's feet. It was clear he had consumed something dangerous, later suspected to be a poisonous substance. Troubled and confused, Mr. Hanzala followed the direction from which his nephew had come. What he found would haunt him. Charles' house stood with its door ajar, and from within came a weak cries. Inside, Chimunya lay bleeding, her face swollen and bearing deep, vicious cuts to the head and jaw. The alarm was raised quickly. Villagers gathered. Chimunya's father, Victor Magala, was summoned and the police were notified. Officers who arrived at the scene found the young woman barely clinging to life. She was rushed to Monze Mission Hospital, but it was too late. Chimunya was pronounced dead upon arrival. Her body now lies in the hospital mortuary, awaiting a postmortem. Charles Bole, the boy she once called her boyfriend, survived the poison and is currently under police guard at the same hospital. The investigation is ongoing. In the aftermath, the village has fallen into a silence heavy with grief, not just for the life lost, but also for the life derailed. 2 families are left to mourn. The Makala family will never again hear Chimunya's laughter, never see her finish school, or grow into a woman they had envisioned. Her future, so full of promise, was stolen in a single act of violence. But the Bole family, too, bears a different kind of pain. the heartbreak of watching their son, once full of potential, now facing the long road of court hearings, judgment, and the likely prison sentence. They are left wondering what went wrong and whether anything could have been done to stop it. It is a tragedy without winners, just broken dreams, unanswered questions, and the quiet mourning of a community shaken by loss. Joanne Mwete reporting for Muvi TV News.
The Lusaka High Court judge has upheld the judgment of the Lusaka Magistrate Court that sentenced Tonse Alliance Secretary General Raphael Nakachinda to 3 years imprisonment for defamation of the president. High Court Judge Anna Ononuju has also issued a bench warrant against Mr. Nakachinda, who was not present in court. On Monday, October 20, 2025, Mr. Nakachinda was reported to be unwell when his case involving alleged tribal remarks came up before the Lusaka Magistrate Court. In this matter, Mr. Nakachinda was found guilty of accusing President Hakainde Hichilema of summoning judges to his residence to persuade them to create a one-party state. Nakachinda's comments were made during a judicial review application by 8 PF members of the Patriotic Front Parliament who had challenged the Speaker of the National Assembly's decision to expel them from Parliament. Affirmed its strong commitment to upholding humanitarian principles and supporting humanitarian action. Speaking in Geneva, Switzerland, at the 151st Interparliamentary Union Assembly, National Assembly Speaker Nelly Muti emphasized that humanitarian action must remain a central pillar of governance. She highlighted Zambia's strong standing dedication to peace, human dignity, and the enforcement of laws such as the Disaster Management Act and the Refugees Act and the Human Rights Commission Act. Speaker Muti also noted that the National Assembly continues to advocate for increased budget allocations to social protection, healthcare disaster preparedness, with the Ministry of Health budget arising from 1.7 million in 2021 to 23.1 million in 2025.
President, Zambia has a long-standing commitment to humanitarian principles anchored on our values of peace and respect for human dignity. As a host country of refugees from neighboring countries and beyond for decades, Zambia remains committed to her obligations under the 1951 Refugee Convention and its 1967 Protocol. Our Parliament plays a critical role in advancing humanitarian action. Allow me to highlight 5 key areas in which we advance humanitarian action. 1, strengthening the legal framework. The National Assembly of Zambia has enacted and reviewed laws to enhance Zambia's humanitarian response, including Disaster Management Act, the Refugees Act, and the Human Rights Commission Act. The National Assembly of Zambia in 2025 established the Committee on Disaster and Risk Reduction, which oversees the operations of the Disaster Management Unit under the Office of the Vice President and the departments and agencies responsible for disasters. The frameworks support accountability and enable effective action during crisis. 2, parliamentary oversight. Through Parliament's oversight function, parliamentary committees play a pivotal role in ensuring that humanitarian responses is properly accounted for. Through parliamentary committees such as the Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services, and the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs, the National Assembly of Zambia ensures that humanitarian responses, such as the response to the COVID-19 pandemic,
The Ministry of Local Government has temporarily suspended the Cash for Work program nationwide to review and reconcile its guidelines. Speaking at a press briefing, Permanent Secretary Dr. Gabriel Pauline says the suspension will help prevent double-dipping of government resources, noting that some beneficiaries were also on other social schemes, such as the social cash transfer. Dr. Pauline added that ministry has an outstanding 23 million kwacha unpaid wages, which has already been allocated to settle arrears.
And in addressing those gaps and ensuring that we reconcile our accounts and start on a fresh note, we have a respite period, a period of rest in between. But this is not to say the program has been suspended in strict terms. So we are reconfiguring the guidelines around cash for work to ensure that it's properly targeted to benefit the intended beneficiaries. We are also reconfiguring the cash for work guidelines to ensure that there's a proper grievance redress system in place. And in further reconfiguration, we're ensuring that we avoid any potentiality for double dipping of public resources that arise from such government transfers. Colleagues who are going to benefit from cash for work should not be on any other government program, such as the usual cash transfer benefits through community development. But to avoid that double dipping, there's necessity to ensure that we have consolidated data on the names through the social register. There's also necessity for consultation with communities in order to ensure that we have a comprehensive grievance redress systems that will support that. But let me report that over 1.5 billion was released specifically for the Cash for Work program. Now that's also a very decent amount of money that has been dedicated towards social service through the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. But in this transition period, there's also a directive to ensure that we adhere to the tenets of a whole of government approach. What does that mean? It means that we're bringing the Ministry of Community Development on board. We're also bringing on board the Office of the Vice President, in particular the Department of Resettlement. We're also bringing on board the Ministry of Finance in order for us to sit on one table and design a comprehensive and robust system that targets the vulnerable communities and ensures that public resources are spent optimally, judiciously, and in a transparent and accountable manner. So there is a balance, therefore, of only 23 million on the current Cash for Work program. So resources have been allocated, reconciliation is underway, and we're making sure that funds target the beneficiaries in an optimal manner.
Minister of Green Economy and Environment, Mike Imposha, says government remains committed to fighting the effects of climate change. Speaking when he opened a two-day stakeholders meeting on national development goals and sustainable development goals on climate change and adaptation for local resources mobilization in Chilanga Tuesday morning. And speaking earlier, United Nations Development Plan Resident Representative Dr. James Wakaiga stated that climate change facing is key for Zambia, and the organization is working with different stakeholders to help the affected groups such as women, youths, and the disabled who have been heavily affected by climate change. Meanwhile, representative of the CSO's Consortium on Climate Change and Advocacy, lead Abel Muzumali, has called for increased budget allocation to the climate change for Zambia to achieve its objectives. He has since called for wealth countries to honor their pledge to developing countries on climate change and financing. The Sustainable Development Goal 13 focuses on climate action and calls for urgent measures to combat climate and impact on key includes strengthening resilience and adaptation capacity, integration climate change measures into national policy and planning, enhancement, cooperation, and access to finance and technical support to help countries realize their climate change goals.
To strengthen our commitment, a strong policy and regulatory framework to guide our climate and development agenda has been put in place. Specifically, the government has developed the 8th National Development Plan, National Policy on Climate Change, Green Economy and Climate Change Act of 2024. The impacts of climate change are intensifying, and they are disproportionately affecting the most vulnerable among us, especially women, young people, children, and persons living with disabilities. Ladies and gentlemen, this dialogue comes at a crucial time for Zambia and for the world as we prepare for the 30th session of the United Nations Climate Summit scheduled for Brazil. The climate crisis and shocks have continued to threaten livelihoods, altering ecosystems, and hindering economic growth of vulnerable countries in Africa.
It's no longer a distant threat, and in fact I do agree with Abel when he says that it is a lived reality for all of us. From the floods and droughts to food insecurity and displacement, the impacts are most felt acutely by those who are least responsible. And yet, the solutions lie within our grasp. The NDC is not just a technical document, but a national blueprint that will guide sustainable development in this country. The NDC is our promise to future generations. To invite all stakeholders to build active partnership and invest efforts towards achieving the third generation of the NDC in order to realize the Paris Agreement objective of keeping
to everybody that made this event possible in terms of your financial and technical contribution. This event was hosted, the planning for this event didn't take so much long, and I would say I think we've planned for this event in the past 2 or 3 weeks. So having a full house, we are happy that indeed everybody has honored the invitation to come and be with us here.
In case you're just tuning in, a recap on the top stories making headlines. Monzi man kills 19-year-old girlfriend, attempts suicide. High Court upholds Nakachinda's 3-year jail sentence for defaming president. Government holds cash for work program, and Chieftainess Nawaitwika orders village cleanup to fight crime in Nakonde. And sports news, Chirundu Football Club coach eyes victory in Solwezi clash. And to that item brings us to the break. Kindly, let's go for the break.
Are you a parent looking for a school with values-driven ethos and a firm belief in an all-encompassing Christian education for your child? Then look no further. At Gospel Outreach Christian Academy, we make the educational experience of your child as rewarding as possible. Offering an excellent reading program that gets our reception children reading within 6 weeks. And examination practice packages tailored to prepare our learners sufficiently for final exams, helping your child make the passing choice to holistic education. A school that believes in helping struggling students get up to speed, providing for the mind, body, and soul. Enroll your child in any of the grades from baby class to grade 12 and enjoy flexible payment plans with up to 5% discounts for payments made during school holidays. For information, call 0979 404809. Gospel Outreach Christian Academy. Excellence through Christian education. Scan the QR code to apply. Mubuyu Christian Academy is a girls-only boarding school located near Sandy Beach in Siavonga. Mubuyu Christian Academy is now enrolling for Form 1 and Grade 10 pupils. So all girls who have just completed their Grade 7 and Grade 9 exams must take this opportunity to receive high-performance Christian-based holistic education. Help your girl child reach their full potential. Call 0976 386184. When you think girl-child education, think Mubuyu Christian Academy. Muvi Christian Academy. Excellence through Christian education. Scan the QR.
Welcome back. Government has emphasized that access to water and sanitation is a fundamental human right, essential for health, education, and economic prosperity. Speaking during the WASH business plan launch on Tuesday in Lusaka, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation, Engineer Romas Kamanga, says the event underscores the significance of partnership and collective action in achieving water security and sustainable development. According to Engineer Kamanga, empowering communities through education, participation, and local ownership to ensure sustainability and maintenance of water sources. Speaking earlier, World Vision Zambia National Director Mark Nosbach says the organization aims to transform the lives of vulnerable children and communities in Zambia. Mr. Nosbach says providing dedication programs to facilities in schools, prioritizing girls' dignity and well-being. Meanwhile, NGO WASH Forum representative has welcomed the launch of the World Zambia Business Plan 2026 to 2030, saying it is as critical as timely in shared.
Today's gathering echoes the visionary leadership of our President, Mr. HICHILEMA, who has consistently championed water security as a key driver to sustainable development. President HICHILEMA has emphasized that access to water and sanitation is not just a service, but a fundamental human right, one that is essential for health, education, economic prosperity. His call is clear. We must work together across all sectors and communities to realize the vision.
And let me highlight this again. Over the last 5 years, World Vision Zambia has provided access to improved water and sanitation services, reaching 950,000 people in different communities, 350 schools, and 130 facilities. This has reduced disease, restored learning time, empowered women and girls, and stabilized health facilities with access to clean water. But a gap remains here in Zambia.
We just have 5 years left until the 2030 deadline for the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs, and specifically universal access to water and sanitation SDG 6. We cannot afford business as usual. The launch of this plan must serve as a catalyst for renewed, agent, and hyper-coordinated action across all sectors. Therefore, on behalf of the NGO WASH Forum, I issue a call to action to every stakeholder present today. To the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation and all relevant government agencies, our call is one of accountability and commitment. We urge the government to ensure that the budget allocated for WASH at both the central and local government levels is released and absorbed efficiently.
As Zambia prepares to celebrate its 61st Independence Day in Western Province, Minister Kapelo Mbangweta has called on citizens to uphold peace and unity across the country. Speaking to Muvi TV newsroom in Lusaka today, Mbangweta urged Zambians to respect one another regardless of political affiliations and avoid tribalism and hate speech during the celebrations. He also commended President Hakainde Hichilema for championing the country's motto of One Zambia, One Nation. Meanwhile, Mbangweta gave an update on the 75-kilometer Katunda Gate of Teyoyoyo Road project, saying construction is progressing well and will ease transport challenges between Mongu, Lukulu, and Kaoma once completed.
For having kept the motto One Zambia, One Nation. So far, we have maintained to be a one unit without any strife like in other countries. It's important that we maintain this arrangement. Yes, we can have political persuasions, but that should not divide us. It's just a matter of our beliefs in the context that we can bring better ideas to the table. That's all there is to it. But otherwise, we should remain as brothers and sisters. And because of that, also we want to thank the President. He has been giving the rallying cry of One Zambia, One People, and so on and so on. So that is what we should maintain so that we have peace in our country for many years to come.
Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has recorded 86% utilization of the 2025 Constituency Development Fund, covering the period from January to October. Speaking during a media briefing today, Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Dr. Gabriel Pollen, said the ministry has received 4.5 billion kwacha to support CDF projects across the country. Dr. Pollen also dismissed social media rumors suggesting irregularities in cash for work program, noting that 1.5 billion kwacha has already been released to selected districts under the initiative.
And skills development programs and activities. So very, very quickly from that, you can see that CDF allows citizens to decide how resources will be allocated, how we're going to meet local needs in education, in infrastructure, in healthcare, in water articulation, in order to support a more dignified lifestyle for communities. But there are times when CDF is applied from a macro perspective where, for example, large-scale projects are implemented from the headquarters through the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development. The recent one being the acquisition of ambulances which have then been delivered to the constituencies. And before that, we know that CDF has been used in a manner that has bolstered the welfare of the communities. So ladies and gentlemen, not long ago, and in particular on the 3rd of October 2025, we announced as the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, right in this room, that 602 million kwacha have been allocated to all the constituencies across the country, averaging around 4 million kwacha per constituency. What this is, and skills development.
Health has launched The Ministry of Health has launched the midterm review of its National Health Strategic Plan 2022 to 2026. According to Dr. Kenneth Lishimpi, Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, the report is crucial as it will help guide the health sector prioritize for the remaining period of the plan. The World Health Organization representative Clement Masuba commended the government and the Ministry of Health for their support in developing the report.
2022-2026, and also set out its dissemination plan to all stakeholders and users of the report. Since May 2024, a dedicated team from the Ministry of Health with support from cooperating partners embarked on a mission to conduct the NTR, and I am pleased to announce that the report is done and ready to be published. This is an important milestone in the health sector as the report will guide on what needs to be done in the remaining time before the NHSP 2022-2026 expires. It will provide us an opportunity to reset our agenda in order to achieve the targets that we set for ourselves at the beginning of this period under review. Ladies and gentlemen, findings of the MCR presents a crucial opportunity to reflect on successes and challenges encountered and provide an opportunity to recalibrate strategies to ensure that the health sector plan is a success, both at local and regional levels. This MCR report will provide all stakeholders with a clear picture of the accomplishments attending the health sector over the past 2.5 years. It will also help refine the approaches for the remaining duration of the strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, the MCR sought to answer a key fundamental question. Are we on track to achieve the ambitious health goals we set for ourselves? It's this question that bore the journey to assess progress of performance against state targets according to the NAMIBIA framework. Scrutinize implementation of strategies or activities in the strategic plan and to identify enablers and barriers for the implementation of national health strategic plan specific interventions. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to highlight some of the few.
Chieftainess Waitwik has ordered all admin and section leaders in Nakonde to clean up their villages and verify residents in a bid to curb rising crime. She warned that anyone in a chiefdom without a clear explanation of their presence risks being removed. The directive came amid growing cases of mob justice, robberies, and unexplained killings. The chieftainess has also instructed villagers, leaders to work closely with police to restore peace and security in the border town. And that item brings us to sports news. Stay tuned. Following a hard-fight 1-0 win over Aguila Stars in Week 10, Chirundu Football Club 8 coach Keston Chilekwa says he is confident in his team can secure another victory as they face Lumwana Radiance in Week 11 in Solwezi. Chilekwa explains optimism about his squad's form and focus, stressing the need to maintain momentum. Chirundu Football Club, currently third on the Zambia Premier League table with 20 points, are looking to strengthen their position and keep pressure on the league leaders. That item
What does this victory mean?
It's a very important victory to the team and to everyone. It has moved us forward as we are going to Solwezi to face Lumana Legends.
How does it motivate you going into a team that has played Super League football before?
Yeah, it's a very good team, very good players, but I think we deserve to win. We deserve to win, yes.
A word to the fans of the Border Boys?
We give it's a dedication to them as they have traveled a long distance from the border to come and cheer up the boys. So it's a bonus to them as they are going back with a smile on their faces.
And that item brings us to the end of the news. A look at the top stories making headlines once again. Monze man kills 19-year-old girlfriend, attempts suicide. And High Court upholds Nakachinda's 3-year jail sentence for defaming the president. Government holds cash for work program, and Chieftainess Waitwika orders village cleanup to fight crime in Nakonde. And in sports news, Chirundu Football Club coach Aya's victory in Solwezi Clutch. That item brings us to the end of the main news. My name is Tracy Mwansa. Stay tuned.